I'm kind of getting what you're going for, but I'm not totally feeling exactly what you're going for.
All right.
So, you ready?
All right.
And we're back with another exciting adventure into the mind of the incredible Hokes. I am Chris.
I am Mark.
You have an interesting hypothesis slash question slash topic slash discussion to throw out there. So, what do you have to delve into today?
Well, here's the background and then the question. The background, a lot of speculation in print media and social media about the fact that the box office receipts for 2014 were the lowest in a long time, 12, 13 years.
Okay.
And there's been speculation for years about the video sales and physical DVDs and Blu-rays, and physical product has been dwindling. More and more people are going to internet streaming, and they're going digital, and so there's a lot of speculation out there about its impact on theaters and what that means for the future.
Sure.
So that's kind of the background, and it made me kind of think of a couple of questions. One, what kinds of things are Hollywood thinking that they'll do to be able to compete in the future?
Okay.
And then secondly, what are specific things they think is impacting, or what are things that are, if people are going to theaters less, what is driving that? That's the best way to say that.
Well, what's driving people going to the theaters less is kind of the obvious answers. You said streaming and online services, and your Redbox is becoming popular. Now, Redbox and online killed video store chains. Blockbuster at one time was so big, it dictated movie edits. So, like, they would cut stuff to not be rated X or R even to make sure. That's how big people forget how big Blockbuster was. That's how big they were. It affected product of movies. So for that reason alone, good fucking riddance, Blockbuster. I hope you died a miserable death, because a company like that should never dictate the product of the movie. So may you rest in hell, Blockbuster. Fuck you forever and die. All right, so I had to get that off my chest because I hated that when that was going on. So I forgot. I forgot about it until we just mentioned it. Yeah. God, I hated Blockbuster. So good fucking riddance, Blockbuster. But anyway, so the obvious answer is streaming and Redbox stuff. That hurts attendance things. But I mean, I think there's so much competition for attention of human beings in America and even globally. I mean, you had the college football playoffs for the first time ever this year. So interest in college football had to go up. The NFL is still the biggest TV show in America is NFL football. It's on Monday night, it's on Thursday night, it's on Sundays all day. So 3 nights of the week you got football.
Yeah.
So you're not going to the movies those 3 times usually. And video games and internet-based gaming. So we'll just call it gaming in general as a catch-all. That people are just into it in all age groups. Trish's brother is playing an online game. He's not even a gamer per se, but he's on there doing his smart pad, checking in with it, doing his game. And if this guy's into this game, then that means it's really accessible because he usually is not a gamer type. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's gaming has crossed all the gender and demographic boundaries and stuff. So short answer, I think there's so much competition for attention of Americans, and then on top of all, you got TV shows. TV's as big as it's ever been. Netflix has made binge watching a thing, where you watch an entire show, let alone a season. Now you watch 5 seasons until you're done watching them. You know, like Breaking Bad, you can watch like all 5 seasons of Breaking Bad at once now.
As fast as you can get them watched. Yeah.
So I just think there's just a lot of competition. What it comes down to.
Well, in terms of them making a film that costs like $200 million. Like, here's the price tag to make this. And then you have fewer and fewer people going to the theater. You think at some point they're going to have to make some budget cuts or some reevaluation of their business in Hollywood.
What do you mean? I mean,
well, there's been times, I'll just use the late 60s as an example. Television went into its golden era, and so many people were staying home.
Yeah.
The drop-off, the attendance drop-off for movies really was hurting into the big studios. And so you had Jack Warner, the Warner Brothers got sold to a corporation, and 20th Century Fox, on and on and on. You get the point. These companies aren't owned anymore and haven't been for decades now by their original owners. They're owned by corporations now. And so when those corporations took over, 20th Century Fox, for example, just slashed all these budgets like in half to get them in the black. And then so films, they started making a lot more contemporary pieces because they were cheaper. You just go outside and shoot. You didn't have to make a period piece. So fewer period pieces and fewer set pieces. It became more and more contemporary pieces to kind of accommodate. So what I'm saying is the industry has contracted before, and I'm wondering what kind of things they think they might have to do, or if you think they even will have to. But to me, if you have a dwindling audience attendance, at some point you just can't just keep spending $200 million, $250 million on these movies and keep missing with a movie like this past year. We've had in the last couple of years, you've had some notable misfires, like Lone Ranger. That was a huge $200+ million bomb. And then most recently, Exodus was about $200 million, and it bombed.
Well, I mean, they got a lot of stuff going on there. In the future, well, the future is now, to be honest with you. We live in this future.
Yeah.
They're going to just keep making franchises and comic book movies and young adult book bestseller movies for the foreseeable future, because there's a built-in audience for them, and frankly, they're easy bets to make money. So I think where we are now is the future, and will be for another 10 years or so, unless technology changes that I can't predict. Where we are now is the movies are for your really big movies, your Iron Man's, Avengers, Star Wars, new ones coming up, that kind of thing. And then home audience is for your other ones. So, for instance, and I'm just making up something here, where you're going to go to the movies to see Captain America 2, but the same actor, who'd you do? Chris, what's his name? Plays Captain America. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Captain America guy is also in Snowpiercer in the same year, but that really found its legs on video demand and streaming and things like that. It had a theatrical run, but wasn't very big. It really got noticed and attention on on demand, like DirecTV's pay-per-view, or on-demand video services.
That's true. Yeah.
So this is the same guy in two different movies in the same year that were both successful, but in different ways. Big tentpole blockbuster Captain America 2 at the theater, Snowpiercer, and the new technologies having an audience there. And I think what's going to happen more and more is you will see your franchises going to the theaters for events, but your dramas and your independents and your not as safe a bet for box office draw movies going on demand. So you'll still have an audience for Michael Clayton with George Clooney. That's not a big sprawling action movie, but it's a good intense drama. Sure. I could see at some point those pretty much always going to streaming and on demand, but Clooney in some kind of big action movie, we go to the theater.
Yeah.
That makes sense? My point?
Yeah.
So using the Captain America, Chris, I can't even think of his freaking name.
Is it Evans? Chris Evans?
Chris Evans, thank you. Chris Evans, that to me is where we are and will be for a while. So you still get the same content, or you still get content, but it's delivered in different ways.
I will say, just based on my own research on this, if it wasn't for foreign box office, which is on fire, movies are doing very well overseas. Domestic sales are way down. So it really, if the foreign sales ever hit a dry spot or start tanking, then there may be more panic in Hollywood or whatever. But my last thought on this is I read where the theater distribution chains, like Regal and all that, some of these different ones have gone out of business, and they've had to been bought out by other chains.
Sure.
So while the number of chains that are profitable and being made is going down, the percentage of IMAXs those are on the rise. So is this kind of, once again, where they're like, hey, the marketplace is kind of caught up with us. We've got to, and movies always find a way to attract the next generation by coming up with the bigger and better idea. Where before you had the full screen Academy ratio, then they went to widescreen in the 50s, right?
Yeah.
To compete with TV. Well, then they did 3D, about 6 years ago. Well, now maybe the next big thing is, putting IMAXs everywhere.
Well, it goes back to, that to me correlates to what I was saying, where going to the movies is more of an event. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing a spectacle. So if more and more movies become IMAX, that means more spectacle.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing. It's just a different. I think at some point, where we are now is that you go to the movies to see special things, and you wait for home video for the stuff you're not that crazy about. The urgency is not the same. Just this past year, we saw. I was late to seeing Galaxy. I was really busy at the time when it first came out. For whatever reason, I had a lot of stuff going on. And so I got to see it, 2 or 3 weeks after it had already been out. We went and saw it on IMAX and paid the extra, it's like $15 a ticket or whatever it is. Paid more, but I really enjoyed it. 3D, huge screen, had a great time. Blast in the theater. It was an event. It's one of those okay, I remember when I saw Galaxy on IMAX. It was really special. So, again, an event movie. But other films, just waited till I watched at home. Just like, but it's no different than we used to do.
Sure.
Back in the day, you would go to Flicks and rent a movie that you didn't have to go see immediately. But Terminator 2, you're there first night it comes out.
Yeah.
So it hasn't changed. Just the delivery methods have changed. Mm-hmm. You've always gone to the movies to see spectacles. American Sniper, $90 million opening weekend. Why? Everybody wanted to see that in the theater. Didn't want to wait. That would look like a movie they wanted to connect with. And it has obviously connected with the audience. So they went and jumped at seeing it. $90 million. Conversely, Whiplash, one of my favorites of the year, it will be found on home video, streaming or otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just, movies are just, their delivery methods have changed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I guess closing on this segment, my final thought is thinking about our generation.
Yeah.
I call it, we're really the Star Wars generation.
Yes.
That excited us. We really loved just really kind of epic and ambitious, big kind of filmmaking. Go for the bleachers kind of filmmaking. So and films, that was our pastime. That's what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
The millennial generation, the generations past that, have different things that are their pastimes.
Sure.
And I just wonder how much of an impact that'll have going forward. No one knows the answer, but I think right now you do get an indication that certainly the millennials care far more they care more for video games than they do films. But they still want to see films. It's clear. Whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy was popular with young folks, or Fault in Our Stars, or Hunger Games, whatever it is. They still want to see movies, and I think that's not going to go away. It's just, is it going to be the big thing to do for them? Is it maybe their first thing that they want to do? Probably not.
Well, I see, having two teenager kids, I see that they just connect with media. It don't really. They're not like, I'm a movie guy, I'm a video game guy. They just absorb media. They're surrounded by media, so they just absorb it all. I don't see a division with my two teenagers. They don't see a division of, I'm a movie guy, I'm a video game guy, I'm a music guy, whatever. They just all media is absorbed because it's all at their disposal via their smartphone or whatever else. So I don't think it. I think the new generation just absorbs media wherever they can get it from, and if it's a big enough event, they go to the theater to see it. If not, they just interact with it on their phone or whatever. You know, does that make sense?
Sure.
You can't even. It's complete apples and oranges compared with our generation, because our generation is like, I was a movie guy. This person was a music guy. This person was a football guy. This, you know what I mean? I was a movie guy, and you were a music guy for a lot of years. Our other brother was a sports guy, and I didn't connect with sports, and I didn't really connect with music, and he didn't connect with movies, and blah blah blah. And you know, now it's like my daughter knows all the obscure bands that you know, and then some, probably in some ways. But then again, she can talk to me and knows all about these movies too. So she's connected to all the medias.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. But what I think is interesting is the movie stars have changed. Look at Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch's career is completely unique to me, because here is this, what would have been and used to have been a stuffy British actor. He is smart. He's engaged with them on the net, through social media, and this guy is a freaking on fire to the millennials, as you put it, through Sherlock and then Con, and now he's nominated for Best Actor for Imitation Game, and he is connected with millennials as well as any actor has. And he's broken out of that boring, tired, stuffy British guy thing. Totally smashed that to pieces. And he's connected with the audience. So I see more and more in the future stars like him coming up that way. Because really, Sherlock took off through the net and through streaming and whatnot. And that's how he came to fame here in the States and other countries, other than Britain, where he was on the BBC. So you'll see more and more stars like that rising, because there's now a whole generation of Benedict Cumberbatch fans, and there's still a bunch of people that don't even know who he is, but they're like way late to the party. You know what I mean? So that's going to be changing.
Right. Well, certainly one of the sides of this issue is the business aspect of it. And if you have a generation of filmgoers that they just, like you said, they don't really distinguish on the media. It's just all media. It's harder, not impossible, but I think they're going to have the studio execs making the films, I think are going to have a harder time, at least initially, reaching them, because I think they're going to have to find different ways to see to pick the pulse of the millennials. Is one of the things that was on my mind, because the old ways that they used to do it, that worked for Generation X and other generations, but this is a very different, very internet and media savvy generation. And when you're greenlighting a $200 million movie, you have to make smart business decisions, and you want to be sure it's something that someone will have an interest in. So I think that will make their marketing department or their whoever greenlights their films, that's going to have to be something they study better.
Well, to be fair, all industries are facing the same question. We're just movie buffs, so we see it here.
Yeah.
The church is dying because they're not reaching millennials. Millennials don't see any reason to go to church whatsoever.
Right.
It totally is irrelevant to their lives. Completely irrelevant to them. And the smart churches, and the Olstein types and whatnot, have tapped into it and are reaching them. where the old type of churches are dying. The old fire and brimstone stuff, that's going to be gone in not too long. The fire and brimstone church is fixing to be dead, right? Because the millennials won't have it. They won't have it. It's foreign concept to them. Mm-hmm. So that's attributed to everything we're going on there. Good or bad, I'm not debating it. I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going religion. I'm just telling you. I'm not here to tell you right or wrong. I'm telling you that's the way it is.
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
Attendance is down. That is a fact. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's not me saying any kind of opinion on the matter.
And then, of course, the music industry, that's a whole cluster mess of its own.
It's sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
But marketing, selling cars, all these industries are facing these same questions.
That's a great point.
So it's not just the movies. I think people love being told stories. We've always loved as a society and humanity to be told stories. Every race, every culture has a history of storytelling. Storytelling is not going anywhere. The delivery method will change. There'll always be storytelling. Whether it's writing on a cave wall or whether it's getting it on your smartphone, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So I have no fear that the movies will always have a place. The delivery method might change. That's it.
So I have his guarantee that movies are going to be around for another 100 years, or
storytelling will be. That's for sure.
And otherwise, we'll buy you a Coke or something.
Yes.
And you can have a smile.
But careful with what it's laced with. Bill Cosby joke. Cheap Bill Cosby joke on there. All right. I guess that's it for.
That's a good note to end on, don't you think?
Yeah. Yes. Watch movies or watch Bill Cosby. I mean, watch movies or Bill Cosby will rape you.
If anything, oh my God. I'm going to say we're topical, but that was really. That
was just unpleasant.
That was unpleasant. Yes.
And with that, we'll just leave you on those words. Adieu.
Oh my.